Hey everyone, in today's video, we're going to go over the three types of recording modes. There's grid recording mode, live recording mode, and step recording mode. But before we get there, we also should talk about the two different trig types. So a trig, I believe, is short for trigger. It's a sequencer event that you can place anywhere you want to perform an action on the Digitakt. So there are two types, note trigs and lock trigs. So note trigs will trigger sounds or MIDI notes, and lock trigs trigger parameter locks, but they don't trigger sounds or MIDI notes. I'm not going to go super in depth into parameter locks in this video, but I'm going to talk about parameter locks in a whole bunch of videos, so I think you'll get the idea by the end. Basically, I think of lock trigs and parameter locks as automation. So a parameter lock would just be saying that a certain parameter value is going to go to a certain level at a certain point, and the lock trig is what triggers that parameter lock or that parameter change. I'll give a few examples as we go. So all of these recording modes have their advantages and their disadvantages. Let's just go through them all. Grid recording mode is the one that I find most easy to work with. So here I've got a kit loaded up with a bunch of sounds. I'm going to use grid recording mode to program a beat. But first, let's give it a name. I go into the settings menu, pattern, rename. Let's call it grid. Great. So basically, grid recording mode, you pick which track you are programming, and then you can just enter in where the steps are. So for instance, if I want to do track 1, I would press track 1 before pressing record, press record, and then I can go ahead and program in some steps. So it would sound like this. If you want to change which track you're recording on, you can do it one of two ways. Either you can exit grid recording mode, pick a new track, and then re-enter it, or you can simply hold down track and pick a new track. Like that. So I'm going to go ahead and play what I got and try and program in some new tracks. I really like putting swing into some of these tracks. And one of the things I really like about grid recording mode is it makes it easy to do edits along the way. So if you can just do it. So that's how you program note trigs. Let me show you how to do some lock trigs and maybe talk about an example of when you might want to do that. Let's work on track number 8. So this is, I only had it going once on the 11th step. So if you want to put in some parameter locks for this one, like let's enter in 2 just so we can hear the difference. All you have to do is hold it down and adjust whatever parameter you want. So let's make this one go to a lower note. Okay. So you can hear, actually, let me mute everything else. So now listen to how the note changes. And that's because that has a parameter lock on it. And if I hold it down, you can see that this is in yellow. If I turn it off and on, there's no parameter lock. This is what it would have sounded like. To put a trig lock on, you would hold down function and push whatever trigger you wanted, and it turns up in yellow. Now this is a noteless trig lock. So now we can put in a parameter on this and it won't trigger a sound. It won't give off a note trig, but it'll give off a lock trig. And so one thing we could use that for is, say, if we hold this down and go to the filter and turn the filter all the way down, listen to how the sound will change. And the reason that's happening is because the filter is opened up when this is triggered, but as soon as it gets to here, it cuts it off. It turns the filter all the way down, and then it goes back up on the 13th step. That's just one example of why you might want to use a trig lock. So you can hear the difference without the trig lock. And if I put the trig lock back in, let's go to the filter. I'm just going to lower the filter all the way down. And if I want to take it off, you just press function and turn it off. Or you just hit it twice. So here we're going to talk about live recording mode. I've got a new kit set up, and I've titled my pattern live. So you can input steps using the trig keys, and it adds trigs as you go. So typically, if you're going to want to do this, I would recommend turning on a metronome, which you can do by pressing function and the pattern key. Metronome's down here in orange. If you do that, the metronome menu comes up, and you can activate it by pressing the pattern key or turning the E data entry knob. So let's put it to active. So you can hold down the record button, press quantized. If you press it again, it goes to unquantized. And you can always change your quantization settings after you record. But I'm going to go ahead and record and quantize. 3, 4. I should add too that it records trig locks as well as note locks. So if you're going in live mode, like here, let's do this. And let's say I want to do the filter to sweep where I'm controlling it. Or maybe add in like some delay. Do a pan. And if we go to grid recording mode on track 4, you can see that I've got all these trig locks because that's where I was going nuts and pressing things. I'm actually going to take those off. So and then I'm going to I like that. So that's live recording mode. Okay, let's talk about step recording mode. I've got a new kit loaded up. I'm going to rename my pattern. Okay, so step recording mode to me feels very unintuitive on a drum machine. I think it makes a lot of sense if you're programming like a sequence on a synth or something, a melodic sequence, but on a drum machine, it feels just to me difficult to use. But I'd be curious to hear if anybody really likes the step mode. Either way, there's a couple different variations of it that I want to make you aware of, and it is kind of fun to play in the standard mode. To get into step mode, you hold down record and stop, and there's jump or standard. Let's start with standard for right now. So basically, when you're in this mode, this double blinks, and whatever step you're editing is going to be in green. And you want to hold the function key down and press whatever trigs you want to go on step number 1. Then it's going to jump to step number 2, and you do the same thing. So let's go. And I'm going to enter in. I guess it is a nice fast way to enter in steps. So now I've entered in 16 steps. Let's hear what it sounds like. Not bad. So that is step recording mode in standard. Now, the jump mode is a little bit confusing to use. I think it works best with longer samples, like if you had a whole drum beat sample. But let me go through it anyway. So I'm going to clear this sequence. So now we're back to nothing. And step 7 has a little bit of a longer loop. So it goes over one 1/16th note, and how the step advances depends on the LEN, the length of the trigger. So, and it seems to me that the only time it takes effect is when you have a sample that's longer than a 16th note. So, let me show you how that plays out. Is that this sample is going to be a full beat? It's going to be a whole note. So if I hold the function key down and push it, the next editable trigger would be, or the next editable step would be 5. So it jumps ahead to when that whole sample would run out. So actually, let me clear the track. If I were to do that with the kick drum, for instance, which does not have that long of a sample, it just plays like there's no difference between jump mode and standard mode. See, it's programmed in at all those steps. So it's just something to be aware of. You might want to try it when using longer source material or longer sample like a drum beat. All right, so those are the 3 types of recording modes: grid recording, live recording, and step recording. I hope you found this video helpful. Let me give a quick shout out to Perfect Circuit for sponsoring these videos. We all truly appreciate it. I've got affiliate links in the descriptions of all my videos, so check it out. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.